Man, how are they gonna end The Walking Dead in a satisfactory way? Is it even possible? I'm just looking at what we have here. We have 8 more episodes of the main show dealing with the Commonwealth. But we have a bunch of spin-off shows like the Maggie Negan one, the Daryl one, the Rick and Michonne one. And I'm just thinking, how in the world can you do a satisfying definitive finale for the main show if everyone's stories are just continuing on? And especially what confuses me is the Rick and Michonne show. I'm just thinking, like, what are they gonna do? Because Rick was the main character for the first 9 seasons and 5 episodes, and then he left. And now the show's gonna end in season 11, and Rick may not even come back. Like, how could they end the show? Right? If Rick doesn't come back, how could they end the show in a satisfying way? Right? You look at like Breaking Bad. Like, imagine if in season 4, Walter left the show, and then the show ended without Walter. It just doesn't make sense. But then if Rick does come back, what is it gonna be? Like some post-credit scene where you see Rick walk through the door and then it ends? Will that be satisfying? I'm just trying to think of this from the perspective of a fan watching in the future, like binge watching the show, and they're unaware of all of the real life things going on. Because that's how you have to think about it. You can't watch a show and let your knowledge of the outside, world influence what's going on in the show, right? Picture you're somebody who's sitting down on Netflix binging the show. They have no idea about what has happened throughout the years, what actors have wanted to leave, this or that. So you're telling me that Rick's gonna leave in season 9, episode 5, but then he's just gonna show up for 1 second in the finale, and that's supposed to be satisfying? Right? And like, does this person watching The Walking Dead on Netflix in the future know about the spin-offs? Do they know, like, oh yeah, this isn't really the ending because I have to watch the spin-offs? Like, it's just weird, right? Because when you watch a show, you want to watch the show beginning to end and have a satisfactory experience that wraps everything up. But because of all the spin-offs, it's kind of making The Walking Dead main show seem less important now in the end, right? The Walking Dead main show, it's kind of like a side story now. The Walking Dead main show is a side story about the characters who Rick came into contact with and how their life is going. But it's not about Rick. It's not about the main character anymore. The main character of the franchise is off somewhere else doing something else, right? But he's the main character. He's the most important thing. So what we're watching right now in The Walking Dead is just like a side story, right? I'm just thinking, like, how does it end? How does it end for Negan and Maggie? That'll be satisfying. Alright, are they gonna have some scene where I don't know how in the world are they gonna go to Manhattan? So many questions. Like, what's gonna make these 2 specific characters go to Manhattan and not make it seem arbitrary? Like, why isn't anybody else going with them to Manhattan? Why these 2 specific characters, the characters who like have so much beef, they just so happen to be the ones that have to go? Or maybe they get kidnapped, but then again, like, these 2 specific characters get kidnapped? Maybe season 11, since they're around each other, they get kidnapped and brought to Manhattan. I don't know. Same thing with the Daryl show. Recently there was news where whoever from AMC was saying that Daryl was kidnapped and now he's in Europe. So is Daryl's story in The Walking Dead, his last scene is going to be him getting kidnapped? Doesn't seem too satisfying for me for a finale, right? Like, there's so many things going on. It just, I don't know how all of these years, all of these seasons, all of these characters, like, I want them all to have a satisfying send-off. Something that'll feel like, wow, I'm glad I stuck with the show. You know, I don't want to be left with like this empty feeling like, well, that's not really the end. It's just the end of this specific show, but I gotta watch more shows now. Like, it's not really ending. It's just keeping on going. And then the Rick and Michonne show, there's maybe a couple ways it could play out, right? If Rick shows up at the end in the final episode, right, that could be the latest part of the timeline, and then the movies are just what has happened, what happened to him that brought him to that moment of reappearing in the show. But now the Rick and Michonne show is kind of like a prequel to The Walking Dead, because now it's, well, this is what happened before he came back. And then if that's the case, we know that they're not gonna die, so it lowers the tension there. And now it's just a story of what they were up to and how they got back. But then if Rick never shows up in the finale, first of all, that's really unsatisfying, because he's been the main character for 9 seasons and 5 episodes. But then now, the movies have, I mean, the Rick and Michonne TV show has more weight to it, because you don't know what's gonna happen. Now this is the like post Walking Dead story, so maybe they can die. Do I want Rick or Michonne to die? No, especially Rick. We lost Rick for years, and I really hope he doesn't just come back and die. Like, the fans deserve a nice happy ending with Rick, alright? We've been through enough. We've been missing him for years, right? We went through a literal pandemic in the world. We deserve a break. We deserve Rick to be happy. I don't want to see Rick die after all this time waiting. And I'm just like, alright, so these are the options. Like, it's really strange, and I hope that they pull it off with all of this stuff. I really do. But lately, with the spin-offs, they haven't been good. Fear the Walking Dead hasn't been really good. It's been alright. The main show of The Walking Dead has been good, but for them to end the show, which, by the way, I heard that the writers, Scott Gimple, didn't even know that the show was ending until like during season 11, or maybe at the beginning of season 11. They thought there was gonna be more, so now it's kind of like, are they gonna rush? Like, can they pull this off with everything going on? Can they pull this off and make something that's gonna really have closure and be satisfying to people who've watched this show for like 12 years? I was 15 when the show came out. I'm 27. Right? Like, I really hope they have something, because right now I can't even picture it. How can anybody predict what's gonna happen? Like, how Daryl gets to Europe, why he's there, what's that story gonna be? Why are Maggie and Negan specifically the only 2 people going to Manhattan? And Rick and Michonne, like, is their movie gonna be showing us what happened before Rick shows up in the finale, or is their movie gonna be after the finale? Is he ever gonna reunite with all the characters at the end of the movies? Like, there's just too much going on, and I hope that it works out, because The Walking Dead's my favorite show ever, and I'm just worried because I don't know, I couldn't be able to, like, in my head I can't even put it together how they can pull it off. But these are professionals, right? And they get paid for this, and they have boardroom meetings, right? And they scrap ideas, they have drafts, like, they sit around, they probably write on some giant whiteboard what their ideas are, what to do, right? There's millions of dollars mixed up in all this, so hopefully they figure out something, because I can't even think of what's gonna happen. But that's about it. Hopefully we all get what we want. We get Rick back, we get a satisfying ending. That's all we want. That's literally all we want. And if we get that, then yeah, I'm gonna be excited for all these other shows, because at least I know that the main show had a good run and had a good ending.